welcome to the Mom Projects Masterclass, Jumpstart Your Career Relaunch in 2026 with Prepare to Launch You. I'm Katie MacArthur, Vice President of Marketing and Growth here at the Mom Project. Today, I'm joined by Susan and Kelly, founders of Prepare to Launch You. Susan and Kelly are going to cover how to relaunch your career in today's market. You'll learn what actually works, plus the tools you need to plan and launch your career comeback in 2026. Whether you're starting your search or already in motion, you'll leave feeling motivated, prepared, and ready to relaunch. Before we start, just a couple housekeeping notes. This session will be recorded and available on our YouTube channel to rewatch. We'll have time for Q&A at the end, so feel free to add any questions into the chat. We'll also send an email after the event with details, links, and other items. Before we dive into our convo and get things started, we'd like to get things started with a quick round of get to know you. Kelly and Susan, welcome. It's so great to have you all here.
Thanks for having us, Katie. Here. And welcome on your maiden launch of running, right? We're your first masterclass. Your first masterclass, right?
That's right. Thank you. To get us started, we want to kick things around. So it's January, New Year, happened very quickly. Have you all set any intentions for the new year?
Yeah. Well, my intention is very simple, to just get through the to-do list of things that always seem to fall to the bottom, which tend to be more organizational tasks.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you've been doing that with your pictures
I've been
and all
very
this.
good.
Yeah,
just trying to get organized on things that have just been sitting around.
Yeah.
I find that whatever keeps falling to the bottom of the list is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
So that was one. I'm not a big resolution setter, but that was one that I did this year.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think I really think for me this year, it's about just being where I'm at. I'm always thinking future. I'm always thinking next thing. And we've had a lot of action. I have 4 children, as we all kind of said that we have 4 kids. And it's just, I'm always thinking like, what's the next thing? Where are we going to go? And I just want to be present. I have a graduating from college senior this year. I have one who's graduating from high school next year. So I want to be present for that stuff. So that's
great
this year. Yeah.
Excellent. And you mentioned you have 4 kids. So I know the funny thing about the 3 of us is we're all moms of 4 children.
Yeah.
So do either of you have any advice for moms of big families getting ready to start back into the workforce?
So mine are older. The one thing I don't really have regrets. The one thing I wish I'd done more is more one-on-one time. My kids are very close in age, probably like yours. Like my oldest was in kindergarten when my 4th was born. So we kind of moved like a posse. They all had their different interests and lifestyles, but I didn't get a lot of one-on-one time. And I just remember doing college tours with them and thinking, this is so special. Like I'm away with them for 3 days and it's just me and them. So I probably would have done more of that with them. So in terms of like what I would have done differently. And then what I think I did well, and I recommend, is I just really didn't sweat the small stuff. I mean, my kids, they wore what they wore. If they flunked a test, they flunked the test. The beauty of having 4 kids so close in age was that I didn't have the luxury of time to really micromanage.
Yeah.
And I'm not wired that way anyway, but I think the more you can just let go, let them figure it out, let them lean on each other, the easier it is for you as a parent and the better it is for them.
Yeah.
Great.
What you do well, I feel like is sort of my advice, right? That ultimately just letting them, and it's awful. You might lose sleep that night.
Mm-hmm.
You might feel overwhelmed, but sometimes as a parent of a large family, the challenge is you can't get to everybody, and
it's the advantage too.
Yes. And it's the advantage because I think what it does is it sets up this belief, it's like a subliminal message to your children of, I believe in your ability to handle this, to do this. And, but, know that there is a safety net. And if you come to me, I'm always here. I'm always ready to listen. And the one thing that I do say, I always do, because I do have older kids, no matter what it is, I pick up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they're calling me, I pick up the phone, or as soon as I get off this webinar, that is the first call I make, because if they're calling me, it's usually,
they need you.
They need their mom. So that's
awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks. All right. So we are getting ready to move into the presentation, and I'll bring it up for you all.
Awesome. Oh, good. So we don't have to figure that. We're like, do we push something?
Yes.
Do we push something? Okay.
Yes.
All right. I want to view in full screen so I can see a little bit better.
Okay.
Ready to start?
Go for it.
All right.
Great.
So welcome. We're so glad to be here. We were telling Katie before that we have been with the Mom Project for a good probably 6 or 7 years.
Yep.
Doing these master classes, such great value,
Yes,
and always
we
a really
love this audience.
always
too.
a really engaged audience. A little bit about us. You already heard we're both moms of 4, but we both took caregiving breaks and we both returned to work. So we have walked the walk that you are navigating right now.
Right. And we have a combined 40 years. I always say to Susan, gosh,
The
makes
two of
us
us
sound
together.
so old. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have a combined 40 years of experience helping women navigate work and life transitions. And here's the key right now, in good and bad economic times. And we know working in this field we are in a challenging time right now. So
yeah, it's no 2021 where if you had a pulse, you got hired.
Yeah.
We're also trusted by organizations like corporations, by universities, by the Mom Project, by other organizations in the women in work field, national conferences to come and be the experts in the field. We used to joke that the Mom Project some of the other project managers used to call us the return to work experts because it really is our lane.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have extensive recruiting and hiring manager experience and insights. And again, because we are working in the trenches with women who are actively out there interviewing, we're getting all of that data and information from our students that come through programs and our PTLU community. So we really have an expertise in what's happening.
And our reach is big, and we have students from all over the globe, literally, except I think one continent. And today we're really excited to help you.
Yes.
All right. So what we're going to teach you today may be opposite everything you've ever been told. We always tell our students as they come in, or our audiences, as they are engaging with us, that sometimes you have to kind of just pause on everything you've been told, because most of the expert advice that you're getting is from people who really don't know this population. There's a lot of really good career advice out there. Most of it will not work for you.
Yes. And one of those pieces of advice is this number one, that's, try to hide your career break, or just announce it in some, like declaration, or dodge questions about your career break.
And all of those are wrong. So just leading with 20 years or 8 years or 2 years, whatever it is, of no work on your resume and just boldly declaring it is not going to help you. Right. Likewise, trying to pretend that you didn't take the time off isn't going to help you either. Right. And if you dodge questions about your career break, then I, as a hiring manager or recruiter, I'm going to make my own story up about what you did during those years. So the real advice is that you want to own your career break, and you want to present it and all of the relevant work that you did, whether it was paid or not, as an asset. And not as a liability. We really believe that work is work, whether it's paid or unpaid. And you need to present your experience in that way.
Yes, and we're going to talk to you
we'll talk
more in depth about that in this program today. The other thing that can make you actually feel like you're doing something is to apply relentlessly through the ATS. It's a numbers game, and we actually know that there's so many people out there that are doing this, and it really is the opposite of what you should be doing. Here's why.
Maybe, and this is really generous, a 10% success rate of even getting an interview by doing what we call post and pray. So it doesn't work. It doesn't work for most people. Fewer than 80% of Americans got their job by just applying online. And if you take people out with very easily quantifiable jobs like computer coding or software engineering, it's most people aren't getting their jobs that way. So you will have to learn, and we will help you today, how to network to get your next job.
So you'll also hear this, that you should be creating custom resumes and or pump your resume with keywords. And here's why that is wrong.
It's 95%, it's probably 99% of hiring managers are going to check you out on LinkedIn. So if you have one resume out there for marketing roles and another one for project management roles, well, what's your LinkedIn going to say?
Yeah.
Because you can only have one LinkedIn. So you can really only have one resume. Yes, you can tweak a little bit. But if your resume and LinkedIn are not in sync, I will not consider you, because I'll know that in one place you're lying or hiding the truth. So 3 really common pieces of advice that we will dive into a little bit more deeply today to help dispel.
Yeah. Okay. And the process that we're going to walk you through, it really does work. It's so funny. I was actually telling the PTLU team, we had an early meeting this morning, and I was going through students that have come through our program, and I was going back a few years, and just how many of them have not only landed, but been promoted using these techniques and these strategies that we're going to share with all of you today.
So sometimes when we do a masterclass with the Mom Project, we're really dialing on one specific strategy or tactic.
Right.
Today, we're going high level. And so these are the 7 steps that we think you need to take to successfully relaunch. And this, again, is specific for people who are looking to return to work after a career break and or pivot into something new.
Right.
And the first step always, and this is where most people make their first mistake, it's know your brand.
Right.
So to determine your brand, and we don't really like the commodifying of a brand, but it's just the word. It's like, know who you are.
Who are you?
Right.
Yeah.
So these are some of the questions you can ask yourself, and you may want to take a screenshot of this slide and take some time to reflect on some of these questions.
And Susan used the right word. You need to take time to reflect. You may actually need to reach out to people who know you or people that you've worked with to just have them help you find the words here. So what are my learned skills? Just what are your hard skills? What are the skills that you've grown in the work that you've done? What is my professional experience? This is kind of the easier piece of this, I really think, is the easier piece, is defining those things. And what skills and experiences did I acquire as a community leader? Many of you are doing that. Pro bono work that you have done. So, things that you've done for family members, things that you've done in your own household. What have you done as a caregiver? We have a number of women who have come through our program who have neurodivergent children with special needs.
Elderly parents who are ill, where they're becoming an advocate.
Yep. An
advocate.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What are my strengths? This is something, as Kelly mentioned earlier, you might want to ask other people about. What do you think I'm good at? What would you want me to do if we were taking on a project? What do other people say I'm good at? What am I always called on to do?
Yeah.
That's sometimes we think we know our strengths, but then we realize people are always calling us to do something else because we do it really well. Yeah. What do I like to do? That may not be a question you ask yourself a whole lot, but when you work with us, we don't want, whether that's coming to a webinar or through the Mom Project or working with us through our programs, we don't want you to just settle.
Yes.
Too many women settle. You shouldn't have to do that. You should be looking for work that you want to do as well.
Right.
What are my soft skills? Those are becoming increasingly more important. Actually, I was just doing some research for a book I'm writing about the skills of the future. And if you look at the top 10 employers within the last 5 years, the top 5 skills of their top 10 requirements are all technical, but they shift over the next few years to collaboration, creativity, confidence. And the confidence, if you unpack it, it's the ability to know what you don't know, seek out help when you need it, and be open to learning new things. So a lot of those softer skills that might have been less considered a decade ago are much more so important now.
Yeah.
And then biggest accomplishments. And those can be, again, in the context of paid or unpaid work.
I think I just want to highlight this, but I think the bottom half question of this particular slide, those bottom half questions that start at what are your strengths and below, are really important. And we see this in with our students that we work with. A big challenge is even talking about your strengths. Now, if you are talking about your child or you're talking about a friend, you probably don't have a problem talking about your strengths, but articulating that is something you are going to have to do when you are talking to a hiring manager, when you are networking with someone. And so there is, at this very beginning place, in this step 1, there is this, like, you're starting to build your confidence. You're starting to move things forward. You're starting to talk about yourself and educate people as to who you are. And so this reflection piece, especially with the strengths, you might need to work with a partner or someone that you volunteered with and ask them to articulate your strengths for you.
A best friend, a spouse can be really helpful if they're paying attention.
Yeah, so that you can start to really own that, because it will come through. The confidence that you are owning your strengths will come through when you are talking to a hiring manager down the road. So I just want to say that.
That's true, and they're only going to really listen to you if you're confident.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
Okay, there we go.
So the next step that most people forget is to know your audience.
Yeah.
So your audience is who you want to impress, who you want to hire you. So here's some questions that you can ask to determine what your ideal audience is.
Right. So what roles or industries interest me? what are roles that are out there right now? It might not be the work that you've done in the past. It might be something different. So roles and industries that interest you. What roles or industries are off the table? Sometimes when you don't know what you want to do, it's nice to ask yourself that question. Like, oh, this is stuff I definitely
almost
don't want
always
to do.
people know what they don't want to do before they know what they do want. So value there.
Yeah. So work. This is the next one. Yeah. So it's the work I do. Work
that I want to do.
Oh, okay. Versus work that I can do.
So very often when we're in a career break, many of us will take part-time jobs. So you might have taken a job as a paraprofessional in your kids' schools. You might have been working, at the local fitness studio because you get to go for free, or whatever it is, something that just worked with your schedule right now. It wasn't really aligned with your skills and strengths or education or experience, but it worked. What happens is, and something there's a direct relationship, the longer that we're taking those kinds of roles, the more we begin to think that's all we can do.
Right.
And we want you not to do that. We don't want you to grab the low-hanging fruit. We want you to think boldly about what you want to do, what you can do. And then the other piece of that shift is starting to think about, what do I want? So very often, again, a relationship between how long you've been out and how likely you are to just take whatever's offered to you. We want you going and thinking about what you want. So what are your priorities? Are pay and benefits the most important things to you? Or is it more soft things like challenge and recognition? Do you want responsibility? Do you want to be in charge of things? Do you want to advance? Like you were on a great track and then you took a break and you want to get back on there and climb to get back where you should be. Is it flexibility because you still have young children? Is it community because you're alone in an empty nest, or whatever it is? Take some time to think about what you want. Because when you enter the interview phase of the job search, we want you making sure that employer is offering you what you want, and you're asking questions to determine whether it's a good fit or not.
Yeah. And the way that we really believe that you can do this and do this well is to put some structure around it. And we have an explore and assess assessment process that we use. And I think Megan's going to pop.
She's going to pop it up. You'll get an email from the Mom Project as well with a link to this. It's just a supplemental video. It's short. It's 10 minutes. And then a nice downloadable file to help you kind of organize your thoughts here. Absolutely essential. We know that 90% or maybe 100% of you have shown up today thinking the first thing I need to do when I want to return to work or pivot in my work is write a resume, but it's not the first thing you need to do. I can read a resume of a student or a person who hasn't taken these steps in a minute, in a second, really.
Yep.
So once you know who you are and once you know who your audience is, then you're ready to go on to the next step, which is make sure that you're clear here so that you can do the next step. So go ahead.
Right. And, a big piece of this is quieting those negative voices. And those voices may come from, an old, boss. They may come from your childhood. They may come from you. They may come from experiences that you've had. But those negative voices are based in these 4 categories. So there's doubt. Who am I to think I can do this? We hear that all the time, over and over again with our students. Like it feels like a stretch. It feels like it's too big for me. I don't have, it's just all in lack and I'm not
worthy.
Enough. Exactly. There's the fear, which is, what if I can't meet expectations? And we will hear this. So our students will go through our course, and then on the other end, our alumni come back and they'll say to us, what I realized when I got into the workplace and I was so panicked about it was that everybody else is has no idea what they're doing. And that we're, companies and corporations are changing in real time. Our world is changing in real time. And so there's always this growth factor that's happening for anyone, even if they've been in a career for an extended period of time. So just reminding yourself that you can meet expectations and everybody is struggling to do the same. There's the shame, which is my skills are too dated or I'm too old. We do hear that
one a lot.
We hear that a lot. And that's why it's really important to take a look at that step 1 and find value in the work that you have done in the opt-out years. If you've been out for an extended period of time, those roles that you've done in your community. Oftentimes our volunteers are putting on these fantastic huge events in our community, holding our communities up with very little resources, with very little volunteer help,
And no pay.
And no pay. Exactly.
This last one, you're probably all feeling right now, and let's just call it out. It's a difficult market in which to get a job.
Right.
There's a lot of economic uncertainty. There's a lot of world uncertainty, and that does play out. But the bottom line is that 95% of Americans are still working and jobs are still being filled. It's just going to take a little more time for you to fill that job. So the defeatism of nobody's even hiring in this market, we know that you feel that. It's just not true. But the truth is that it will take a little bit more time and perhaps a little more effort.
And you can tuck this next strategy into your back pocket and use it when these things come up. So let's just talk about what compiling is. Compiling feeds that beast. Compiling will fill those negative voices. Compiling is finding other people that are going to help you feed those negative voices. It's putting those people around you or talking to yourself in a way like this isn't enough, or I'm not ready enough, and this isn't going to happen. And it's really feeding that negative mindset. Compiling is something that you want to avoid at all costs when you're navigating this process, because this process is challenging, but it is so doable. And so instead, what you want to do is you want to focus on combating it, and that's killing that beast, right? So it's finding communities like the Mom Project and connecting yourself with other people that are going through this with you in real time. It's finding mentors and using those voices. It's setting boundaries around people and places that are holding you back or keeping you from navigating through this process. It's actually setting boundaries with yourself. That is an old way of thinking. I don't think like that anymore. Just setting a quick boundary like that with yourself keeps you moving forward, even when things get challenging and difficult, because they will, but you will be able to pick yourself up because you are not feeding that beast.
And your best asset and your worst liability is your mindset. So it's essential you get it in check, because when you're networking, when you're interviewing, if you are not all there for yourself, it will show in the way you answer, and you won't be able to move forward in the process. So the next piece is getting your home right. So for those of you who are in that defined caregiving role, you have a lot of responsibilities, a lot of things that you control, and you can't do all that and be working. In fact, you can't even really do a comprehensive job search if you are still completely bound by those responsibilities that you have at home. So what we recommend is that you inventory all of the things that you do and start answering these questions about each one to find how you might not be doing them all anymore.
And then have a little conversation with yourself to allow whoever you are offloading these things to grow into the role. And oftentimes it's our family members, right? So, you want to be clear about what tasks you want to do. I have to deliver on this. This is something that is really important that I do. But maybe there are things that you no longer need to do. And so who is going to do it? And how are you going to offload that?
And if it's not a person, maybe it's a service you're going to do, or maybe it's something you can automate. You have to really sit down and not just consider who and what's going to take it, but then when am I going to have this done? How am I going to set it up? These are important steps to take. And we have seen that the few students who don't succeed once they land the job after a career break are the ones who haven't done this.
Well, and this may all seem like, okay, ladies, we know this stuff, but I want to tell you that many, many people that we have worked with over the years, and many of you sitting in the audience right now, may have left the workplace because you were burnt out. And that burnout happens because we have not set ourselves up with a strong support system. And
or we're trying to do it all.
Yes. You know how to run communities, right? You know how to run a household. And this is where you need to employ a strong support system for yourself so that you can employ. I don't mean pay people. It might be offload these things, but you are able to really do important work that you really want to do in the world and get to love the beautiful life that you're building at the same time.
All right. Next up is to write your story. So you cannot expect me as a hiring manager to connect the dots, to understand the through line from you were a director of finance to now you're head of the PTO and the Girl Scouts. Like, I'm not going to make those connections. You have to do it. So you have to make the connections as you write out your story, so that your paid and your unpaid experiences are all on a continuum. So it takes a little creativity, really thinking through. One of the things that I meant to mention on the past slide is that as you're looking at all of the things that you do, all of your responsibilities, you're looking to offload things, look carefully at the volunteer work that you do. We did a workshop with the Mom Project years ago. We talked about strategic volunteerism, where you're saying, yes, I'm going to take on this role as the e-newsletter coordinator. I'm going to set up the platform. I'm going to do the content. I'm going to write the copy. I'm going to do the editing, because this is my lane. I'm a communications professional. Right. This is what I want to do. But I'm not going to work at the book fair, and I'm not going to be the treasurer of this other group anymore, because these are not skills that I want to hone or develop, or that I'm looking to work with later. So being thoughtful about the volunteer that you do. For those of you who might be not relaunching for a bit, think about that now. What volunteer work can I take right now that's going to help develop my skills as a financial professional, so that when I do relaunch next year, I've got that on my resume. It actually has built up my confidence and my skill set. So connect the dots from all those experiences, and then frame those things that aren't paid as valuable workplace currency. If you do not believe that running the hospital gala to help open up a new wing has value on your resume, then I will never believe it when you say it. You have to believe it. And I think you can trust us. We've been doing this for a very long time, that this stuff really matters, and that the work that you do in your community benefits everyone you're interviewing with. Everyone that interviews you has benefited from that mom in their community that's running everything. So don't be shy to even call that out.
Why don't you do the next one too?
And then focus on achievements and results. So not so much this is what I did, but this is what happened because of what I did. The same way you'd write your resume. I'm less interested in what your job description says. I'm much more interested in what you accomplished. So if you were running a gala, sure, it's great to tell me a little bit about the gala, but what I really want to know is, how many people did you recruit to volunteer with you? How much money did you raise? How many donors did you solicit? What kind of growth in revenue and donor revenue was there year over year? What kind of growth in attendance was there year over year? So we're looking at quantifying in the same terms. We're going to describe our unpaid work in the same way that we describe our paid work.
Right. It's that professional language that you're using. And that's where this next one comes in. So it's use the conventional reverse chronological approach for your resume. So you're going to present your career break years in that exact format. So
But it's not going to say CEO mom or chairman of the Davy household.
No.
It's going to be community leader. Boom. These are the three things that I did. You don't just say everything.
Right.
Give me just a couple. Cover up the space. You don't want to make it bigger than it is. And that's rarely a problem, because most women are diminishing what they've done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you want to bring your resume to life in narrative form on LinkedIn. You absolutely need a LinkedIn profile. And for some people, that's a leap, because you might not be a big believer in social media, but it is here. And in that platform is a professional platform. It is used extensively, and it is a phenomenal resource for you as you start to build networking. And
really, other than your resume being a placeholder, because in many cases, as you're networking your way into the job search process, and someone will say, yes, sure, I'm going to give you a referral, but you still have to apply online, so we have your resume in our system. It's a checked box. Most people now are reading your LinkedIn, not your resume. So it's a great opportunity to provide links to creative materials, to show you alive and working, to talk about yourself in longer form, in narrative form. An absolute great resource. As Kelly said, it is a must.
Yes. Okay. And then step 6 is to share your story. So now we've written the story. So now we have to get out there, right? So you're going to repurpose your LinkedIn, that about statement that you write in your LinkedIn, as your elevator pitch, and you're going to practice telling it. So it's really good to take this through the process of developing your story, handwriting your story if you need to, because you're starting to really own this narrative, because your job is to teach people who you are.
And so if you think about the progression, the writing progression on a resume, you'll start with a summary statement that might just be 3 or 4 sentences long. And it's choppy, and it's written in third person, and it's not really intimate, but it kind of highlights, this is who I am. Then you take that and you create the story on LinkedIn, you talk and use the word I and mine. This is what I did, and this is who I am. And this is how I do it. And this is what I accomplished. And then you take that about statement and you just practice it a lot. So it kind of rolls off your tongue, and you practice it in short form and long form.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, you're not going to be iterating it as like as a soliloquy, unless you're in a panel interview where they give you like 2 minutes to talk about yourself.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's going to be
the back and forth.
Kelly's going to ask me a little bit more. I'm going to give a little bit more. But the more you have that locked in your brain, the more natural it's going to come out, the easier and much less stressful it will be for you to deliver it.
Right. And then in that vein of practice, right, it's start, because this is hard, right? It's now you talking about you, and you want to give yourself a warm up. So start with family, start with friends, start with old clients or colleagues that you've had, acquaintances, maybe someone who's actually going through this process of returning to work themselves. That could be a great person to just bat this around with.
And just kind of visualize it like this. You start here as family,
Right.
friends, then you might reach out to old colleagues and clients. That can be really intimidating for those of you who've taken a longer career break. Then acquaintances, and then those random referrals. By the time that you're getting to that outer circle, you've had so much practice.
You feel good.
And you deliver it much better.
Yep.
Right.
And everyone in your orbit should know that you are job searching.
How many times we will talk to people who are too embarrassed to tell people that they're looking for a job.
Or put the swoosh on their LinkedIn profile.
I don't want people to know I'm looking for a job. You want everyone to know you're looking for a job. There's no shame in looking for a job. Everybody has had to look for a job.
Yes.
You're not alone.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Use LinkedIn to network with people in companies and roles that interest you, people that you don't know. And one tip here, we've seen this, we teach this in our courses very specifically, but reaching out to people who've graduated from either your undergraduate or graduate school programs. These are people who are willing to help you. Find the ones that are working in companies that interest you. Reach out to them and see if they'll take 10 minutes to talk to you about their role and their job. And we have the biggest challenge we know is like, how do I talk about those years I wasn't working? So we have this template, and we'll be sending you a link to actually pull it up in better format. That kind of talks, it just kind of sets the stage for how do I talk about my career break without oversharing. So it's very simple. Step one, I loved my work and I was really good at it. It was a sacrifice to leave, but given my alternatives at the time as a parent or as a child of elderly parents or as the spouse of a disabled spouse, whatever it is, it was the right decision, and I'm glad I'd made it. That is it. I am not getting into the details of how many kids I had, how stressed out I was.
And I think we tell ourselves that we have to tell the depths of what went on because it was big to you. It was something very challenging in your life, or it was something that you just feel like you need to over-explain. You don't. The people who in your life that get to hear the whole big story are your allies. They are your closest people to you in a professional setting, in a networking conversation. That is not it. It's surface.
Because we don't want you spending time on that.
No.
We want you spending time in steps 2 and 3. So step 2 is during this time when I was on a career pause, I tapped into and perfected my professional skills and expertise in X, Y, and Z. And then in my community and caregiving roles, I even learned new skills. So that's it. Just again, high level. And then you bring it home. I'm so excited now and really eager to bring my professional training and experience, plus the new skills I've honed as a community leader, as a caregiver, as a pro bono advocate, whatever it is, back into the workplace. And so I'm excited to talk to you today to see if we're a good fit for each other. Boom, boom, boom. And that's it. We're not getting into the details.
Yes. And this is a really great, I think Megan's going to send.
Yeah, she'll send you a link to something that plans this out for you.
But this is a really great activity for you to do after the call on your own, is to actually sit down and script this out.
How you're going to say
how you're going to say it.
But these 3 general points kind of always lead the way.
Okay, so step 7 is to seal the deal. And this is, Susan and I actually, in all transparency, we kind of went back and forth. Do we want to include this or we don't? But I think the biggest message here is that if you are out there actively networking with someone, or you've gone through the interview process, you deserve some feedback and some currency. And the way that you can do that is to seal the deal and close with purpose.
So with every networking call that you have, if it's a random person that you just met that happened to go to the same university, if it's someone in your community who works at a company that you love, whatever it is, every call will be different. Every goal for each call, because each person you meet will have something different to offer you. So you have to make sure that you begin every networking call with a very clear idea of what you want at the end. And it's usually not just one thing. I have one client, every time we're preparing for a networking call, I'll say, okay, so Matthew, what do you want at this call? He goes, I want a job. All right, that's great, but let's kind of back up from that. What other things can this person give you? So really doing your homework to determine, is this person someone who can make a direct referral for me at his company? Or is this someone who knows people that will help me? Is this someone who works in a role that interests me, but in a company that doesn't? So I just want to really get a lot of information about the role and maybe meet his contacts who do this kind of work in other companies. So thinking that through and making sure that you ask for that. And then when you're in an interview, making sure that you end every interview with the 1-2 step close, with a 2-step close, the 1-2 as I call it. This is just the way we teach closing out every interview so that you walk out of there knowing how you did.
Yes.
And Megan is going to drop a link through a video on that where we really unpack that for about 12 minutes. Absolutely worth the watch.
Yep.
So now, let's say you've made it through the next step. You've gotten, yes, we want to hire you, Kelly. You get an offer. Just make sure that you understand that there is always some leeway and that you need to counter any offer with a request for more money and or more of something else. So it may be that you're applying for a federal job where the job is posted and they've already offered you the max on the salary range and there isn't any play there. But maybe you can get another week of vacation,
right,
or a few more PTO days. Maybe you can get a better title. Maybe you can ask for a better territory if you're in a client-facing role, whatever it is, looking for. Maybe it's flipping the hybrid schedule from 3-2 to 2-3, but always asking for more because the object is to get more first. But the second piece is to set a boundary from the very beginning. I'm not someone that just says yes to everything. I'm someone who's going to challenge. I'm someone who's going to ask for more. This is something that creates right at the very beginning a different dynamic of knowing I'm not going to be able to just dump work on this one. Right? She's sharp. She's asking for stuff. Hiring managers will respect you when you ask for more. You respect yourself by asking for more.
And we're not just saying this as a pep rally. We're actually, we have student, client after client that have
we
actively.
Just got a link to that Blythe. We got a message from a student. I just screenshot and sent it to Kelly. And she was looking for a promotion.
Right.
Which was going to bring her more money and a better title and all of that. And she said, well, he didn't bite, but I got a $20,000 raise. And she wasn't making that much money. It was $20,000 was a huge amount relative to what she was making. So just the fact that she went in there asking for something, she got the second best, which was the money without the title.
And what the students always say to us is they gain some respect, that there was one student that came back to us and said that the hiring manager said to her, I wish I could give you more, but just the fact that you asked really like kudos to you for doing that. That was a big deal. So, okay. So what happens if you don't get an offer? You are going to solicit feedback and find out where you fell short. Just a good way to do this is via email.
Well, it depends. I mean, ideally, you want to get it from the hiring manager. Depends on where you are in the process. If you are, knocked out in the first round, no one's going to get back to you. You can always ask. But if you're knocked out in a final round or a fourth round, if you make it past the first couple of interviews, you're a really viable candidate. If you don't make it in the first interview, you either blew the interview or you just aren't a viable candidate or you aren't a competitive candidate. But if you make it further along, they like you. I can tell you from my experience, and I have lots of experience in hiring, that at the very last round, you've got your 5 people, any one of them I would hire. It's like you're splitting hairs at that point. So at that point, I'm much more likely to say, Kelly, we loved you. I had this happen with a client the other day. We loved you. You were the best.
Right.
But we are entering our busiest season right now. We just merged. We are like running with pants on fire. And an internal candidate came up. She's already in the system. She already knows our processes. She has an employee ID. She knows how to use our software. She's just
they've already invested.
And she's just going to be easier. And it was like, we love you. We want you. So make sure that you solicit that information. Will you always get it? No, but by asking, at least you've got a chance of hearing.
Well, and then in a case like that, and also, if you've made it that far, just maintaining some type of
Definitely.
relationship with the recruiter or the hiring manager. If you made it that far, there might be something that comes online, maybe when our economy is in a better place, or when the
hiring freeze is lifted.
Yeah.
Well, we have a good story about Aurora, who was trying to get a job with AWS, Amazon Web Services, and she made it all the way through to the final round, didn't get the job.
Yeah.
And she followed this strategy. She just kept in touch with the recruiter, like bi-monthly. It wasn't a lot. I think it was
not hounding.
No,
yes,
it was maybe she had reached out to her 3 times in 6 months. And at about the 5-month mark, the recruiter reached out to her and said, I remember you.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, she only remembered Aurora because Aurora was keeping in touch with her. Yes. She did not remember her. Yes. But what she did remember is, okay, this is a candidate who made it all the way to the final round and didn't get it. This is going to make my job a lot easier because this is a similar role on a different team. And I know she interviews well and I know she checks out. So I'm just going to take her resume and give it to that manager and my job is easier.
Yes.
So remember that this is not just self-serving. A recruiter has a very an impossible job of filling so many more jobs than they can with multiple different managers. If they know that you're a good candidate who already made it through a lot of the vetting, then you're doing them a favor by keeping in touch with them, and giving them an opportunity to place you again.
Yes.
Okay. So I think that is our last slide.
Yeah. I think you got it there.
Yeah, there we go. So just a little plug for us. We offer a 10-week career relaunch program. It's very high touch with us leading it. You're with us a couple hours a week, 2.5 hours a week. You're with us. You're with a small group of others that are taking it with you. It is a flagship program. It is the only one like it. And it's something that our students call life-changing. We believe it really is. And if you're really serious about your career relaunch and you want some help, this would be a great opportunity to look into it. So we're doing a second info session on our winter cohort, which begins around January 25th.
Yep.
And that is going to be held this week on Thursday at 12 Eastern time.
Yep.
You can sign up. You'll get a link to it. You just come and listen to a little program about what we do, ask questions, meet a couple of graduates. And then if you decide you want to apply, great. If not, you've got tons of content. We're on all the platforms below. If you like instruction, our YouTube channel is fantastic. It offers mini lessons once a week. The same content there is available on Spotify if you want to plug us in your ears when you go for a run.
Yes.
So,
and do we have any questions, Katie?
Yeah,
we do.
Great. Do we want to? Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Yeah. And what are best practices for framing a maternity career break on LinkedIn when you've also been upskilling during that time?
So I think a lot of it depends, and if Kavitha can tell us how long, because length matters. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if it's a 1-year break, you barely need to call it out.
Right.
So I'm going to assume it's longer than that. And if it is, and this goes for people who took COVID breaks too, I mean, there's kind of obvious times where, of course, you took time off.
Everybody was.
So one of the things that I really like about LinkedIn that's a newer development is that they used to make you put your months and years of employment, and now you can just do the years. So for all of you with any break, you always want to just do the years because that will almost, without fail, make the amount of time you've been out look shorter. So Kavitha, if you were going to say something like, let's say you took your career break, let's say you had your baby in the fall of 2024, and then you took off, well, let's say you took the
23.
Yeah, no, I mean, let's say a year. I'm trying to think if it was a year. So let's say you had your baby in December or January of 25, and you took this year off, right? Mm-hmm. So you would put your employment all the way through 25, even if you had the baby in like December or November, 25, and now you're looking for a job. So you could, under your experience, not call it out at all. Just put your most recent experience is through 2025, or you could put a quick note saying family leave, put the space, and then instead of talking about what you did with your family, talk about the upskilling that you did. Yeah. Took these courses, got these licenses, just short and sweet. The shorter the gap, the less amount of attention and time it gets on your resume.
I think that also could go in, you could spotlight that in the cover letter.
For sure.
Yes.
So a lot of times people say people don't read cover letters. They do if they're well written.
Yeah.
If you're not just starting your cover letter out telling me what I already know, that I hear you're hiring for this job and I'm really interested in it, so I'm applying. Oh, well, I already know that, so don't tell me that. Just dive in with, I'm a project manager who recently is returning from a 6-month family leave, excited to dive back in with my newly accreditation in X, boom, 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 3 bullets, short and sweet. That's a great place to put it. And that's a great place to customize your resume for those of you who feel the need to customize.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Most people won't do a cover letter. And now that there are bots that will do applications for you, even fewer cover letters are being submitted. So you set yourself apart by writing a custom cover letter.
Yep.
Much better than writing a custom.
And you
resume.
save it as a PDF when you upload it to a site if you have to do that.
Right. Well, I think you mean if there's no place for a cover letter on a job board, I'm glad you brought that up. You can just make your cover letter the first page of your resume. So if you have a 2-page resume, it's now 3 pages. The first page is your cover letter. Not everybody will even solicit a cover letter, but most hiring managers will look at a cover letter if it's well written.
Right.
Awesome. Next one, asking about the open to work mark on LinkedIn.
So Stefania, the only time you shouldn't have the open to work moniker on your, or a little swish on your name, is if you're currently working and don't want your employer to know that you're
Right.
looking. Otherwise, you should always have it. Now, let's talk about what drives that swish. What drives that swish isn't you saying, I'm open to work.
Right.
It's when you choose in your settings that your page is open to recruiters only, or my page is open to anyone. When you select my page is open to anyone, then it gives you the swish.
Yep.
You don't want just recruiters. I mean, let's just face it. Recruiters are great people. They have an important role, but they do not make decisions. Recruiters don't hire people. Recruiters decide who's going to be considered to be hired. They don't have the authority.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to be spending your time only talking to them if you can talk to CEOs and hiring managers and senior influencers. So absolutely anyone looking for a job, except for the one example we gave, should have that swish.
Great.
Okay.
A question from Alex about your program. Do you help with career changes or just gaps in employment?
Yeah,
for both.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we have, I would say probably in a typical cohort, 75% of our students are the traditional mom returning to work after a break. The other 25% are people who, for whatever reason, are pivoting. It could be that they just had a layoff. It could be that they just are miserable and want to leave. It could be that they retired. We've had some that have taken early retirement packages and they're looking for encore careers, but yes.
And that's where that explore and assess portion of our course is really important, because it gives you time to really determine what direction you want to go in next. So you're making a conscious choice about what is happening with your career versus just letting your career happen for you.
Well, I mean, you talk about this a lot because if you can tell, Kelly's my expertise is the more the professional piece and Kelly's expertise is more on the personal development piece. But you talk a lot about how you sometimes when you're burned out, you just grab the next thing because you're just so desperate for something new.
Right. Or you, and what we often find, even with our burnout students that come into us and they are maxed, that once they've had a little bit of breathing room, they realize there were portions of the work that I was doing that I actually really enjoyed. And if I could have a role that has more of that in it, then that's the work that I want to be doing. But when you are so in it and you are so burnt and there's nothing left in the tank, everything looks bad. Everything looks like it's,
and conversely, anything else looks better.
Exactly. Yes. It's like I want to run and flee as far away from this as I possibly can. But you have valuable skills that you've gained in the role that you've been in as an insurance adjuster for 18 years.
Yeah.
And there might be pieces of that work that you have really enjoyed. And how could you leverage that into a role that does more of that work and less of the stuff that you.
So Alex, if you go to our YouTube channel, I know we did a video just on kind of how to get started on a career pivot. So take a look. It's just Prepare to Launch You with the letter U at YouTube. You'll find it. Okay. Good luck, Alex.
And how many pages should a resume be these days?
So it can be up to 2 pages. So generally speaking, Shivani, if you are under 30, you can maybe get away with a 1-pager. If you're over 30 and have only worked in at one company and maybe one role with slight variation, maybe you could get away with 1 page. Most professionals need 2 pages for it to be adequately spaced and with a font size that's readable, but it should not be more than 2.
And we've got another one on insight on the hiring trend this year, especially for returners.
You know what? I don't think from the process, it will be the same.
Yeah.
You need to go through the same steps to be discoverable and to find work. I think the trend will be for longer interview processes and more delays. So my nephew is 25. He just went through a 9 interview process. I mean, it was absurd. He's maybe 24. I mean, he's no experience. He's got 2 years of work. And it was like, what the heck are they doing?
9 times.
But what you find is a longer process to get through, more stalls. You'll find because there's a lot of uncertainty, it will result in maybe not hiring freezes, because you wouldn't be interviewed if it's a hiring freeze, but many more restrictions on hiring. And then kind of the moving target. Well, we're interviewing for this job. Oh, wait, well, actually, we changed the job description. Now we're interviewing for that job. So I think you're going to have to go into the process with 2 things. One, a good sense of humor and resilience, because it could be a long game and there could be stops and starts along the way, but also making sure that even when you have a job offer, you do not take your foot off the gas. I have seen offers rescinded the day before someone starts, and for no reflection on them or their candidacy. So my rule is, until you've worked at the company for a week and you've gotten your first paycheck, you continue to go through the process. You interview elsewhere. You make sure that you are keeping your options open, because the employers are too.
Well, and I think really everything that we talked about today, doing that work, that really important work, that gives you an edge. That gives you an edge over someone who is not doing that. And I have to tell you, we just graduated a bunch of students, and we had 3 that landed jobs, almost
before we even
graduated. So there is hiring is happening. It might be at a slower pace. But if you are really being strategic and you are using the strategies that we're talking about, you are going to have an edge over people who are not doing that. And that is to your advantage.
One other question for this person whose name isn't on LinkedIn yet. First of all, you should have your photo and name on LinkedIn, because you're not discoverable, and people, when they check your resume, if you don't have your photo, it's
we love to see your face.
Red flag. But one question you should be prepared for, and it's so funny because half the time the person asking the question doesn't even have an answer themselves, but what role do you see AI playing
that's
in your job? Everybody asks it, even if they have no idea what they're looking for. Have a good answer for that. And usually the best answer is, I'll be looking at to use AI as an efficiency tool, but I still believe, especially if you're in a human-centric job, but I still believe that the quality of my work and the import of my work is going to be based on the relationships that I build in this role.
Great. Are you seeing more companies offering returnships, and should women focus on these as opposed to wasting time applying for regular job ads?
So Sarwat, you definitely want to go to our YouTube channel and watch our video about returnships. We have a lot of experience in that. My old company did them. My concern, first of all, returnships are fantastic. They are fantastic for certain people. My concern about returnships is that they've become so exclusive that they used to, when they were designed, they were for people who took a long career break and really had skill deficiencies. But now you've got women who've only been out a year, who their skills have not rusted, their contacts are still alive, and they're applying for returnships, and they're getting them because, of course I'm going to take the person for $38 an hour who's already a professional and knows what she's doing. So they've become so difficult that sometimes at the bigger programs, there might be 3,000 applicants for 30 spots. So generally speaking, if you have fairly current skills and you follow the process that we teach, you should not need a returnship to return to work. If you are in a highly technical field and your skills have lapsed, most returnships are not going to give you those hard skills. They're going to require you to do those on your own. So regardless of whether you do a returnship or a regular path back to employment, if you have a technical role, it's on you to keep those technical skills current. Where we see the returnships really helping is when the candidate just has really lost their confidence and feels for them that they need something lower stakes.
So they want to ramp.
Exactly. That's when they're the best serving. And again, typically for people who've taken longer breaks. Companies are not offering more returnships. But you don't need a company to offer you a returnship. You could create one yourself. If you find an employer that you love, Sarwat, and they're just like, we really want to hire you. We're just a little concerned because you're a little rusty. Then say something like, I get it. How about we do this? How about I work on an hourly basis for the first 4 months? And that'll give me a chance to kind of brush up on the things that I might need to brush up on, give you a chance to test me out and vice versa. And then we'll sit down after 4 months and see if it's a good fit. And then we'll move from there.
Right. And I just want to say something, Sarwa, on where we're spending our time, just going back to what we were saying earlier. You don't want to just be applying online that actually is not going to net you much. You want to be either, if it's a returnship or if it is for an actual position, like a regular position, you want to be networking and get your resume into the hands of someone in the organization that can get you to the top of the pile, because you will get lost in the 3,000 people that are applying for whatever position it might be.
I would like to add one other thing. It's not returnships, but don't discount the value of project work.
Right.
So we had a student who, did she find
and this time specifically? I think it was from the Mom Project.
She might have found us from Women Back to Work, but we had a woman named Vijay who took the same kind of similar class. I forget what the topic was, but a master class. And she came into our course, and right out of the gate, as she was exploring and assessing, she was really looking at, I've been out for 7 years. She was a software developer. She had kind of kept her skills current, but she hadn't worked in a while. And so she, instead of doing the returnship, was pitching herself when she networked as someone who could come in and do a project. Yeah. And so she got hired to do a project for Apple, and she now is working for Apple. Yeah. So using that intermediate step as taking on project, taking on consulting, maybe it's covering maternity leave or family leave. Right. It's a great way back in. And I will say this in terms of the earlier question about trends, you will see companies hiring more contract workers, because contract workers do not require the same kind of financial investment as a regular employee. You can fire them without recourse. You can hire them at will. And it's a much more manageable financial arrangement. So make yourself open to that. Let people know when you're networking. Ideally, I'm looking for regular full-time employment, but at this point, I'd be interested. I would entertain contract and project work.
Right. And when there's not hiring, during times like the times that we're in right now, the work doesn't go away. So if you offer and try to negotiate for project work, you are actually helping them.
That's right.
So that might be your way in.
And I think we have time for one more. This one can probably be a quick one. What are your opinion? Is your opinion on applying to a job when you only need 50 or 60, only meet 50 or 60% of the requirements?
Well, you probably know the statistic that men will apply for jobs if they meet, 40 to 50%, and women feel like they have to meet 100%. The problem with job descriptions.
Wait, and also tell them you're that they want them to be 18 years old.
Oh yeah, my job.
And the people who are writing the job description they want
someone who's 20 years old with no family, no life, and is available 24/7 and has 20 years of experience. I mean, what they're looking for is someone who doesn't exist. Right. So I think you need to look at job descriptions, and I say this with great, affection for the people who are writing them. They are writing them defensively. They're writing them to eliminate as many people as possible. That is the whole purpose of a job description. It's not to draw in the best people. It's to eliminate as many as possible. So throwing all kinds of things in there that don't matter. If you're lucky and smart, you might be able to discern what matters and what doesn't. But the bottom line is that if you're applying to jobs this way, Brittany, you're not going to get one. If you have a career break, you're not going to get through the algorithm. The algorithm is set up on a job board to reject anyone who doesn't have current employment. Ideally, they like people who are currently working. They love hiring people from other companies that have current skills and maybe can provide some competitive intel. So the question is a little bit moot because we're not looking to advise you to apply for jobs that way. But generally speaking, maybe 60% of what is on a job description is actually required. A lot of those other things are there as kind of red herrings to rule people out.
Excellent. Susan and Kelly, thank you so much. I loved what you said about knowing your audience and then knowing your brand. So I think talk about like speaking directly mom to mom, right? Yeah. I feel like moms are the people who are always like, wait, like I do all the things, but like, who am I? What am I doing? And that resonated even with me so well. We really appreciate your time today.
Thank you for having us. And we hope to see some of you at our info session. Come learn about our program. It's a real game changer.
Yeah. And to everyone who joined us today, thanks so much for attending. And we hope you've all learned something new that you can apply to your career search. And as always, I'd encourage you to watch previous masterclasses and sessions. We have a bunch with Susan and Kelly and other hosts on our YouTube channel, along with other amazing experts. Thanks again for joining us and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.